guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Paige and this is my open book. In today's video, I'm doing a last minute weekly wrap up. I wasn't even going to film a weekly wrap up this week because I usually film them like Saturday morning and I just, recap the books I read the week before. Well, this past Saturday morning, I had only finished one book. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to do a weekly wrap up for one book, so it's fine. I'm not going to film this weekend, like I already decided. Well, because I didn't film, I ended up finishing like 3 ebooks this weekend. I finished the third ebook this morning, so that's 4 books total that I have to talk to you about now. So I'm filming this Monday on my lunch break. I'm going to try and get it up tonight for you guys so that I can tell you about the 4 books I read this past week/weekend. So grab a drink, grab a snack, and let's get into it. The first book that I read, you guys, this is like a huge fangirl moment for me. I got an ARC, which is an advanced reader's copy if you don't know, of Fragments of Grey by Holly Cast. This is my first official ARC ever, and it's for an author that I love. I read Anything Ray Touches earlier this year, which is the first book of this series, and I fell head over heels in love with Holly Cast as an author and the characters that she created in that book. You guys know I talked about it multiple times on my channel. Definitely in my like top 5 books of the year. Yeah, that book is just really touching, really emotional, and Holly Cast is the queen of weaving heavy topics and how to deal with trauma and how to become a better version of yourself and how to deal with the things that are hard. Like, she weaves all of that into a romance, which I think is super special and unique the way that she does it. And this one did not disappoint, you guys. I'll be posting my full review on Goodreads and Instagram and all the things, but yeah, not gonna lie, I was nervous that this book would not meet the expectations of the first book. I was very worried, but I couldn't be happier, honestly. She did it again. It was a great, like, cute summer vibes kind of romance. Like, there were cute scenes on the beach, and like they would have picnics together, and they would go to like the boardwalk, and it was really about these 2 characters having a summer of fun because they had both been through so much. They never really got to be a kid. They never really got to have like a carefree summer. And obviously this book is so much deeper than that. It unpacks so many things. It even brings up some of the characters and the trauma that you learn about in the first book. It kind of like, comes up again because this does follow the brother of the female main character from the first book. So it follows Grayson and Emma. Oh my god, you guys, this book makes me want to cry. I was sobbing reading this book. And yeah, it was just perfect. You have Grayson, who's like the dark, broody, like kind of violent and angry type because he hasn't really been able to work out his emotions in regards to his past and his family life. And he's very much like the loner, reserved, doesn't talk to anybody. And then you have Emma, and she's like the good girl type. She's always like a breath of fresh air, ray of sunshine, always positive. I just love seeing like the differences but also the similarities between these 2 characters because yes, their personalities are very different and the way that they approach life is very different, but they both went through something really hard. So it's interesting to see how different people deal with things like that, and I think that was the the highlight of their romance for sure. Just how they help each other and how they like teach each other, but also how they learn things for themselves. I don't know, it was really good. It definitely blew me away, and clearly it's a 5-star read, clearly. But yeah, Grayson basically has to go stay with his sister who he hasn't really had a relationship with in years, and he's going through a really hard time. He doesn't really have anything going for him right now, and he meets Emma, who is friends with his sister. But yeah, Grayson finds out that Emma's past is a lot darker than he thinks it is, and it's just them like navigating that, and also like wanting to have a summer fling and not get attached, and oh, we'll just have fun and get out of our systems. But we all know how that ends. And yeah, she just did a really great job. I will rave about this author till the end of time. And yeah, I'm obsessed. this book comes out on October 27th. And yeah, I highly recommend you pick it up immediately. Well, read the first book first, then pick this one up because it makes it so much more impactful. All right, now we're gonna get into some other, I'm basically just trying to catch up on all the new releases because can we talk about how many freaking romance books are coming out in the month of October? I can't keep up. I can't. Yeah, I haven't like touched any of my physical books, which is kind of frustrating because I'm on a book buying ban so that I can read the books that I have already. But you know, all these new releases keep coming out on Kindle Unlimited and I'm just getting sucked in, okay? So the next one I read was Caught Up by Liz Tomforde. This was very highly anticipated, not just by me, by like the whole romance community, because everyone loved Mile High, everyone loved The Right Move, myself included. Ryan Shea is like one of the top book boyfriends in my opinion. Like he can literally do no wrong, okay? He's perfect. So I was obviously excited for this one. The first book was hockey, the second book was basketball, this third book is baseball romance. And the male main character is a single dad. The female main character is the daughter of the coach and she's gonna be his nanny. Like, all those things should be like, yes, 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 sign me up. And I was excited. Unfortunately, this book did not live up to the hype, in my personal opinion. That might be the unpopular opinion because when I look on Instagram, everyone and their mother is raving about this book. And I will say, I think the reason why it's so easy to rave about this book on Instagram, for example, is because Liz Tomforde did a great job with the one-liners and the banter and the dirty talk, like those kinds of things, and there's like funny dialogue. So I think it's easy to pick out like a cute scene that you like, or like a spicy moment between the two of them, or when they're like flirting with each other at the beginning. You know, like it definitely has a lot of promise in the words that they say, but in my personal opinion, the romance didn't really back it up. That sounds really harsh. I gave it 3 stars because like it wasn't bad, but when I compare it to the first 2 books in the series, like this did not have the emotional impact as those 2 did at all. I will say it did pick up towards the end. Like I would say like maybe the last like 20% it did pick up, and I did eventually come to like their romance once they finally decided to get over themselves and finally just be together already. So I guess like after the 3rd act breakup, like I liked the ending. But up until that point, like I found myself skimming a lot because I was just like, okay, we get it. Like he's refusing to be with the nanny because she's his coach's daughter and she doesn't do commitments and she doesn't get attached, but all he wants is a commitment because he's a single dad and he's just out of that phase. And I don't know, I just feel like they were being really stubborn for no reason, and I think it just took too long for them to get together. And I don't just mean to have sex. Like, they physically got together like around the time people normally do in a romance book, I would say. But like, even when they got together physically, they were still like in denial about it. I don't know, it's like the reason why he finally agreed to sleep with her was because in his mind, he was like, oh, well, she says that she's leaving, but I'm just gonna make it so good for her that she's gonna stay. And I feel like that was kind of like cringy in my opinion, because she's made it clear that she's not staying. So like if you're not okay with that, you shouldn't like let this be a thing just because you want to sleep with her. I don't know. Their emotional dynamic and their romance just did not click in my head or in my heart, and I just didn't feel it. I will say the coach, the father of the main character, Monty, he's the true hero of this book. Any scene that had him in it, I was loving. I was like highlighting the stuff he was saying. And the scene with him towards the end, like after the 3rd act breakup, I was sobbing, bawling my eyes out and crying just because like he's the true hero. I'm just gonna put it out there. If Monty got his own book, that would be like my top tier romance. Yeah. And like his story was honestly the best part because like he was a single dad, and that's why he supports Kai, the main character, so much, because like, oh, like I did the same thing for my daughter, except I quit my baseball career and I don't want you to do that. Yeah, Monty's the true MVP, I gotta say. If it weren't for him, I probably would have given this 2 stars. Like Monty definitely bumped this up to a 3-star read, just being honest. Yeah, I still like Liz Tomforde as an author, and I will still look at other things that she comes out with, but this one was a bit of a disappointment for me. So I don't know. Maybe it was just because I had just got finished reading Fragments of Grey and that was so emotional and so good that like maybe that's why it paled in comparison, but I don't know, wasn't my favorite. Okay, the next new release that I read was a winner. This was Odd Man Rush by Kristen Granada. This is an FFM romance, so like female, female, male, and this is an interesting twist on that dynamic in my opinion, because it wasn't just like a typical menage romance to me. So I think what really set this one apart is these characters actually have history together. So it starts off with the characters in high school. The two female main characters are best friends, Celeste and Courtney. Courtney is dating Jason, and they're in a, you know, in a committed relationship with each other. They're in love, but Jason is going off to college on a hockey scholarship across the country, and Courtney does not want them to have that typical college long distance relationship because they feel like it'll tarnish what they have. So she decides to just end it when they go to college. So she breaks up with Jason. They don't really keep in contact either, but her and Celeste are going to go to the same college together. Well, they admit to each other that they have feelings for each other, that they always have, and they have a relationship together while they're in college. Unfortunately, Courtney's parents are super strict and she's not ready to come out to her parents, and Celeste after college gets a job that requires them moving to Seattle, and Courtney is just too scared that she's gonna like drag Celeste down, or that she won't be able to, you know, be open enough to give Celeste what she deserves. She doesn't want to come out to her parents yet, so she unfortunately ends things with Celeste. Celeste is heartbroken, but she, you know, moves on. They all move on. Then it cuts to like a couple years later. Celeste is doing her own thing. Her and Courtney don't really talk anymore, but Courtney ends up reconnecting with Jason, and they end up having their second chance romance, and they get married. So Jason and Courtney are married again. Celeste comes back into their life, and they decide to add Celeste as a third person in their relationship. So it's not just like, oh, let's just do this just because it's hot as like a one-time thing. Like, no, they all love each other. They've all been super close since high school, and they really want to find a way to make it work. Celeste is a little nervous because obviously she's had her heart broken, and to her, she's not 100% convinced that this isn't just something they want to do for fun to spice it up. And she obviously doesn't want to lose their friendship because they've all become so close over time. Yeah, this one was just really well written. Kristen Granada is another one where she just does emotional connections so well. And I also love the representation of the LGBTQ community in here. Not just with this relationship in particular, but in the side characters and just the message about what the characters do with their lives. I think it's just really inspirational, and I think that the romance community needs more books like this because, you know, not everyone fits that standard mold of a typical romance. So I like that this kind of like turned romance on its head, and it really like, she like pushed the boundaries, and I think that it was really well done. Plus the male character is a hockey player, so you got the hockey romance added in. Yeah, I really like this one. I gave it 5 stars, and I was pleasantly surprised because I read the novella of this series, the first book that came out, and it was okay, but like it didn't blow me away. This blew me away. This blew me away. I highly recommend. And finally, another very highly anticipated new release. I read Hopeless by Elsie Silver. Everyone and their mother has been talking about the Chestnut Springs series. I'm sure I'm not the only one you've heard this from, but I also got wrapped into that series. I'm not like a die-hard fan of the entire series like other people are. My favorites were Flawless and Reckless. It ended up being a very pleasant surprise as well. Those were really good, but those both involved bull riders, so I think I like those more than the rest of the series because of that element. So I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about Hopeless, although I was very excited to read about Beau's character because he's kind of like the tortured hero type, which like I love. And he's actually a veteran. Adjusting back to normal life after being deployed is not something to take lightly, and I think that Elsie Silver did a good job with that, especially with like the PTSD he was experiencing, and you know, also like the physical ailments to his body that he went through because of it. Yeah, so I was excited to see Beau's love story, I will say, especially when I found out it was going to be with Bailey. So Bailey is actually the sister of the, if you read the other books you know, but basically there's like this rival family that they have, because it's like they're neighbors, but they're kind of like the scum of the town. Everyone thinks of them as like trailer trash, basically. So whereas the Eatons, they're like the kings of the town. So kind of like the town rivalry, and like everyone knows about it and everyone treats them so differently, and the town is like very adamant about the fact that they're on the Eaton side and not the Jansen side. So Bailey is part of the Jansen's family, and she works at the bar that Beau goes to all the time with his brothers. So he's always kind of kept an eye on Bailey over the years, and he's always had a soft spot for her, even though she comes from the family that's, you know, rough around their edges and has done a lot of bad in the town. But she's always been like a source of good, so I think he's always like had a soft spot for her, and I love that element. And they decide to go into a fake engagement situation, which I will say, fake dating is not always my favorite, but I think this was well done. Like, it definitely made sense why they were doing it. Yeah, this is also an age gap romance. She's 22 and I think he's 35. That was like a fun twist, I think, as well. I love how it was about like Beau learning how to live again, and like Bailey giving him something to live for. Like, I just thought that part was so sweet. And you know, the fact that she's really trying to make her own life and to change the world that she was brought up in, and Beau helps her with that. And yeah, I think their romance was just really groundbreaking in my opinion, just because with the things that they were able to accomplish together. And yeah, there's also great groveling in this one. There's like a big twist at the end, and Bailey gets so pissed off at Beau. They don't like break up per se. I feel like that's kind of like a gray area, but she definitely is basically very clear with him, like, I need space until I'm not mad at you anymore. And he gives her that space, but like he still takes care of her during that time, and he just shows like how devoted he is. Oh, it was just so nice, because I love when the male main character sees that the girl needs to be taken care of because nobody else has done it. And Beau was very clear that he knows that Bailey has never been loved, Bailey has never been taken care of, but he's gonna be the first and only to do it. Oh, it was great. It was great. And there's also like the found family element, because we get all the same characters that we know and love from the other books, and they are accepting of Bailey even though she comes from the rival family, and I just loved that. Yeah, this was really good. I don't think it's as good as Reckless and Flawless for me personally, so I don't know if I'm gonna give this 5 stars. I might give it like 4.5. There isn't like a specific reason why it's not as good. I tried to pinpoint it in my head before filming this video, and I couldn't think of a specific problem I had with the book per se, but I think it just didn't give me like that like personal special feeling like the other 2 books did. I don't know how to explain it, but it was still really good. I think it was a great way to end the series, and she's already teasing for the next one, but the next one's a secret baby, so I don't know. You guys know it's not my favorite, so we'll see. But Reckless ended up being a fun surprise, and that had secret baby, so who knows. But Elsie Silver did a great job. I highly recommend checking this one out. I think it's still worth the hype, and even if you're not going to be a die-hard fan like some people, I'm not like a die-hard fan, but I still really enjoy reading these, and I still get really excited when I see that Elsie Silver is coming out with a new book, because her writing does suck you in. And yeah, I read this book in like less than 24 hours because I couldn't stop thinking about it. So yeah, definitely good. I recommend. All right, that's gonna be it for this weekly wrap up. Those are the 4 books that I read this week, and hopefully I can actually read some physical books, but there's still more new releases I need to catch up on, so I don't know, you guys. I'm excited for the next Anna Huang book to come out. I'm excited for like some more spooky ones that I want to read, like Grimstone by Sophie Lark and Hollow by Karina Halley. So I don't know, we'll see what I get around to reading, but I'll see you guys next time. Be sure to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button, and comment down below what's your favorite book that you read last week. See you next time. Bye.